Hello, welcome to Celtic Crossroads from KILT Studios. I'm your presenter, Kenton Adler, Director of Advancement for Scottish Heritage at Lyon College in Batesville, Arkansas. Join me now as we explore an hour of music and story from all corners of the Celtic world. Our show is made possible in part by the Campbell Collection, a generous gift from the estate of the Duke of Earl, the late Robert Louis Campbell of Earl, Arkansas. The collection consists of music and literature now housed in the archives of the Lyon College Mabie Simpson Library, and by the Lyon College Scottish Heritage Program.
ye lowlands, oh, where hae ye been? They slain the Earl of Moray and laid him on the green. He was a brook-callant and played at the bar, and the bonny Earl of Moray was fluer o' them all. Woe be to the Huntly, and to our ford did ye say, I bade ye bring him to me, never him to slay. He was a brook-callant and rode at the ring, and the bonny Earl o' Moray, he might hae been king. Lang may his lady look frae the castle dune, ere she see the Earl o' Moray come riding through the town. He was a brook-callant and played at the glove, and the bonny Earl o' Moray, he was the Queen's love.
That was Jock Tamson's Bairns from the album Rare with the Bonnie Earl of Moray. Before that was Celtic Pink Floyd live in studio with Have a Cigar. Before Celtic Pink Floyd, we heard from the Field Marshal Montgomery Pipe Band Impact album, the High Drive Quartet with Press for Time and the High Drive. And prior to Field Marshal Montgomery was a band I was just familiarized with about a week ago called Waking Finnegan and their interpretation of Galway Girl. We started the program off with a selection from a collection of Australian bird calls called Songs of Disappearance, and we heard the Far Eastern Curlew. You're listening to Celtic Crossroads, coming to you from Kilt Studios on the campus of Lyon College in Batesville, Arkansas. I'm Kent Nadler, and now we're going to hear McGinty from their album Songs of the Sea with New York Girls and Bill Sullivan's Polka.
As I walked down the Broadway one evening in July, I met a maid who asked me trade, a Sailor John, says I. And away is Santee, my dear Annie, Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? To Tiffany's I took her, I did not mind expense. I bought her 2 gold earrings and they cost me 15 cents. And away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? Says she, a lime juice sailor, now see me home you may. But when we reached her cottage door, she this to me did say, and away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? My flashman, he's a Yankee, with his hair cut short behind. He wears a pair of long-sleeve boots and he sails on the blackball line. And away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? He's homeward bound this evening, and with me he will stay. So get a move on, sailor boy, get cracking on your way. And away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? So I kissed her hard and proper, afore her flashman came. And fare you well, me Bowery gal, I know your little game. And away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? I wrapped me glad rags round me, and to the docks did steer. I'll never court another maid, I'll stick to rum and beer. And away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? I joined a Yankee blood boat and sailed away next morn. Don't ever fool around with gals, you're safer off Cape Horn. And away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka? And away is Santy, my dear Annie. Oh, you New York girls, can't you dance the polka?
Churin ma bach an gala da fira kun churin ma bach an yul and gala wa churin and jummy can be spray churin ma bach an yul and gala churin ma bach an gala da fira kun churin ma bach an yul and gala wa churin and jummy can be spray churin ma chus ma on the chul to say ba ho the yul da fira kun churin ma chus ma on the chul to churin and jummy can be spray churin ma chus ma on the chul to say ba ho the yul da fira kun churin ma bach an yul and gala wa churin and jummy can be spray. Jul, and got a Hurin Mavalach, and no one the Philip and Hurin Mavalach, and Jul, and got a woman and Jimmy and Venespe, Hurin Mavalach, and Jul, and got a Hurin Mavalach, and no one the Philip and Hurin Mavalach, and Jul, and got a woman and Jimmy and Venespe, Belling and gold, Cavalier, and Goon, a boy is full of Jul, the Philip and Belling and gold, Cavalier, and Goon, a woman and Jimmy and Venespe, Belling and gold, Cavalier, and Goon, a boy is full of Jul, the Philip and Hurin Mavalach, and Jul, and got a woman and Jimmy and Venespe. Faction man, you know, the faction man, you Hamish, faction man, you know, the beer, the meaning game, faction man, you know, the faction man, you Hamish, faction man, you know, the beer, the meaning game, the crane, car, skipple the crane, skipple the glaze, the crane, car, skipple the beer, the meaning game, the crane, car, skipple the crane, skipple the glaze, the crane, car, skipple the beer, the meaning game, the faction man, you know, the faction man, you Hamish, faction man, you know, the beer, the meaning game, faction man, you know, the faction man, you Hamish, faction man, you know, the beer, the meaning game, the crane, car, skipple the crane, skipple the glaze, the crane, car, skipple the beer, the meaning game, the crane, car, skipple the crane, skipple the glaze, the crane, car, skipple the beer, the meaning game, banging and going down, banging and going down, banging and going down, banging for away, banging and going down, banging and going down, banging and going down, banging for away, Michigan State is Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, free up and throw away and Scotch, Michigan State is Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, free up and throw away and Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, me, I'm going to go away and Scotch, Michigan, State is Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, me, I'm going to go away and banging and going and dying, banging and going and banging and going and dying, banging for away and banging and going and dying, banging and going and banging and going and dying, banging for away and Scotch, Michigan, State is Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, me, I'm going to go away and Scotch, Michigan, State is Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, Michigan, Scotch, me, I'm going to go away and
You're listening to Celtic Crossroads, and that was our friend John Bottomley from his album Welcome to the Club, performing a couple of classic 2/4 competition tunes, Captain Norman Orr Ewing and Muir of Ord. Just before that was the Campbells of Greep from number 2 Greep, and that was their Na Purt Crun, and I'll have a full medley listing on the playlist on the Facebook page. Before that, we started this portion of the program with McGinty from Songs of the Sea with New York Girls and Bill Sullivan's Polka, and now it's time for a bit of poetry. 16 Dead Men by W.B. Yeats. Oh, but we talked at large before the 16 men were shot. But who can talk of give and take, what should be and what not, while those dead men are loitering there to stir the boiling pot? You say that we should still the land till Germany's overcome. But who is there to argue that now Pierce is deaf and dumb? And is there logic to outweigh Macdonough's bony thumb? How could you dream they'd listen, that have an ear alone, for those new comrades they have found, Lord Edward and Wolfe Tone, or meddle with our give and take, that converse bone to bone?
Beside you coming after me, 'cause that old boy is mad at me, friend, but I don't care. I'm gonna tell you that they making me take that ride. When you see me going, baby, hang your head and cry, 'cause that old boy is mad at me, friend, but I don't care.
none of them can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. La 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 la, my singing bird, as you. If I could lure my singing bird from her cozy little nest, if I could catch my singing bird, I would warm her on my breast. For there's none of them can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. La 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 la, my singing bird, as you. Let me gaily on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and on we go, let the toes for mighty. Over hillways, up and down, myrtle green and bracken brown, past the she-legs through the town, for the sake of mighty. Plenty herring, plenty meal, plenty feet to fill your creel, plenty bunny barns and wheel, that's the toast for mighty. Over hillways, up and down, myrtle green and bracken brown, past the she-legs through the town, that's the toast for mighty.
I had to dig deep into the archives for that one. That was the Lyon College Pipe Band from about 20 years ago with a High Road to Gerlach medley. And I know the first tune was the High Road to Gerlach in 4 parts, and then the last tune was Rowantree, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what that march in the middle is. Jimmy Bell is pretty certain that he wrote it, but he can't remember what it is either. So if we've got any pipe band alumni listening out there, if you recognize that tune and can remember what the title is, please let us know. First one with the correct answer, I'll send you a signed copy of my book, The Silver Pipes of Tir nan Og, whether you want one or not. Before Lyon College Pipe Band, we heard Battlefield Band from across the borders with Woe Be Gone, Bubba's Reel, and Frank's Reel. And before that, we heard from Burley Twine, an Arkansas band from up in the Fayetteville area, from their album Crossroads and Backroads with Singing Bird Medley. And we started off this portion of the program with a lovely young Irish woman named Murrin Bradley from her album I Kept These Old Blues and the Police Sergeant Blues. She plays guitar and sings, and I read that she did all the tunes on that album just live in the studio with a guitar and her vocal and a couple of microphones, and that she did them all in 1 or 2 takes. And I really enjoy her music very much, and I'll be playing her again. We're going to move on now with Robin Williamson from The Old Fangled Tone and Down by the Sally Gardens.
Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. She crossed the Sally on little swan, white feet. She bid me to take love easy, just as the leaves grow on the tree. But I, being young and foolish, with my own true love would not agree. Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did stand on my leaning shoulder. She laid her so on white hand. She bid me to take love easy, just as the grass grows
earth of the land of Fairy, deep is the lore of Canucknashi. Hail be to they of the forest gentry, pale dark spirits help us free. White is the dust of the state of dreaming, light is the mixture to make one still. Dark is the powder of death's redeeming, marked by that one pinch can kill. Sleep of the earth of the land of Fairy, deep is the lore of Canucknashi. Hail be today of the forest gentry, pale dark spirits, pale dark spirits. White is the dust of the state of dreaming, light is the mixture to make one stitch. Dark is the powder of death's redeeming, marked by that one pinch can kill. Sleep of the earth of the land of Fairy, deep is the lore of Canucknashi. Hail be today of the forest gentry, pale dark spirits, pale dark spirits. White is the dust of the state of dreaming, light is the mixture to make one stitch. Dark is the powder of death's redeeming, marked by that one pinch can kill. Sleep of the earth of the land of Fairy, deep is the lore of Canucknashi. Hail be today of the forest gentry, pale dark spirits, pale dark spirits. Help us, help us, help us, help us.
We started off this portion of the program with Robin Williamson from the Old Fangled Tone and Down by the Sally Gardens. Then we heard from Contraband, the Black Rogue Jigs, and that final piece was an S.J. Tucker project called Tricky Pixie, and their album was Mythcreants, and that was the Mushroom Song. I'm Kenton Adler. You've been listening to Celtic Crossroads, coming to you from Kilt Studios on the campus of Lyon College in Batesville, Arkansas. Hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope we see you again the next time at the Crossroads.